The narcissist's insincere apology, or their fake apology, if you are lucky enough to get, or unlucky enough to get, a false apology from a narcissist. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers. I hope you're finding the information helpful. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw, and this channel is all about the narcissist personality disorder, to give you more understanding of the things you might have been through, the people you might be dealing with, how to handle yourself around those people, and different ways, different methods to find the right one that works for you to recover from narcissistic abuse. If you do find the information on this channel helpful, please do subscribe. So this video is about the false apology of a narcissist. When it comes to an insincere apology from a narcissistic person, they're not expressing their true feelings, they're not expressing their true intentions, they're not going to express their true meanings behind their behaviour. They're going to pretend to think or feel a certain way to get their needs met, because they lack the accountability to be responsible for their own behaviour. So they're going to pretend to think or feel a certain way, or try and distract you from their intentions to get their needs met in that present moment in time with whatever manipulative method they can use, be it blame shifting onto you, projecting onto you, offering these false apologies, offering false promises of the future faking, whatever they can do to get their needs met in that present moment in time, because they can recognise that your reactions to their actions might cause you to do something they don't want you to do. So with a narcissist, an insincere apology is more about damage control for them, so that they can remain in control, than it is for recognising how they've affected your feelings. Whatever a narcissist does is to get their own needs met. They do need at least 5 of the 9 characteristics to be on the disorder. When they've got at least 5 of these characteristics, it means they are wanting to exploit people to meet a need of their own. It means they lack in the empathy to care for those that they hurt. It means that they are arrogant enough to believe that they should be allowed to get away with their own selfish behaviour. It means they believe they are special, and they believe they are entitled to do as they please, again lacking in the empathy to care for those that they hurt. With a narcissist, they are about control. So offering you an apology isn't to make amends for their behaviour and learn from the error of their ways, is to get their needs met. By telling you what you want to hear in a way they want to say it, to distract you from what their true intentions are, so that they can exploit you some more. As most narcissistic people lack in cognitive reflection, so they often don't have the ability to reflect back, to think about their own behaviour, to think about their own actions, to think about their own mistakes, to be able to learn from those mistakes. They're living in that present moment, which they want to make ideal for themselves. And if you're going against their reality, if you're bringing up something they've done that perhaps they shouldn't have done, this is going against their belief that they're entitled to do as they please. This is going against their reality of their idealisation of how they believe life should go for them. And if it'll meet a need of their own, they will offer that insincere apology to meet a need of their own. But they will still be blaming you. They will still think in some way you are responsible for how you think, which we are responsible for how we think. But they don't see that their actions or their intentions have created us to think in a certain way. For example, if they are cheating on us, it's our fault for being upset about the situation. It's our fault for trusting the person. They don't see it as their actions were in the wrong. They see it as how we think or feel about their actions is in the wrong. So without that cognitive reflection, they're not going to look back at the mistake they've made. They're going to just focus on what need of theirs is not getting met in that present moment. And often with their lack of the attachment system, although there is some there running, and their lack of object consistency, when there is those disagreements, when there is those arguments, when there is those hurt feelings, they can simply just lack the empathy to care for the person they're in that disagreement with, which is why it's so easy for them to just walk away, because in that moment they are walking away, they just do not care. They only care about getting their own needs met, and if their needs aren't being met, they're not interested in you. To be able to offer a genuine apology, people need to be able to recognise their own behaviour, and with that lacking cognitive reflection, a narcissist often cannot recognise their behaviour. People then need to be responsible for their behaviour. And as a narcissist cannot recognise the part they played in the situation, and as they've passed the responsibility on to the people around them to escape accountability for their behaviour, they are not going to be held responsible for their own behaviour to themselves or to those around them. To offer a genuine apology, people would need to be remorseful for their behaviour. So the fact that they can't recognise their behaviour, they don't accept responsibility for their behaviour, they're not going to be remorseful for their behaviour because they don't think they've done anything wrong. They might feel shame within a moment when someone's called them out on their actions, but because they are that quick to blame the other person, they shift that responsibility and they no longer hold any remorseful feelings for their actions because they've blamed the other person for their reactions. They've blamed the other person for how they think or feel about the narcissist's behaviour. They don't look to themselves. To offer apology, you've got to then want to repair any damage that you've made, because people make mistakes in life. People make mistakes, and people then can reflect on what they've done. They can recognise what they've done. They can be responsible for their own behaviour. They can feel guilt and then want to make it up to the person that they've hurt, which is why in the dynamics of a narcissistic relationship, you've often got one person feeling guilty and feeling obligated and doing all they can because they've been made to feel blame for everything that's going wrong, while the other person is putting all that guilt and all that blame and all that shame into that person. The narcissist is projecting it all into that person, which makes the narcissist feel powerful, gives them more control, as the person that's being invalidated and gaslighted slowly loses their control of reality and what is genuinely happening to them. So to offer a genuine apology, people would want to repair the damage, which is why people, survivors of narcissistic abuse, can change, because they change time and time again in the relationship, because they are always overthinking, they're always reflecting on their own behaviour, they're always trying to better themselves for somebody, not realising that that somebody isn't bringing out the best in them. That narcissist is bringing out the worst in you, because the more you try to please them, the more you lose who you are as a person. And with all the gaslighting and isolation and intimidation, we don't even see it's happening because we just don't know about it. So to offer a genuine apology, someone's got to want to repair the damage. When it comes to a narcissist, they only want to repair the damage to meet their need at that present moment in time. And once their need is met, they're not interested anymore. So then to offer a sincere apology, you would need to not repeat that behaviour. With a narcissist, because they've got away with that behaviour once, they are going to hit repeat. They are going to recycle the behaviour, and they're going to keep switching the blame onto those around them to escape accountability for the things that they've done to hurt other people. With a narcissist, if you do get an apology from them, it's going to be things such as, I'm sorry you, or I'm sorry but. So within that apology, within that language that they use to apologise, they are still shifting the blame on you, because they always say, I'm sorry you. So they're still not accepting accountability within themselves, and they're still putting that doubt onto us by making us question something we've done by saying, I'm sorry you. Or when they say, I'm sorry but, they might be blaming an outside situation to escape their own accountability. And when someone isn't going to be accountable to themselves for their own behaviour, they're not going to recognise their behaviour, they're not going to change their behaviour, and they're not going to give a genuine apology. They are not going to learn from their mistakes. So when they say, I'm sorry if you'd listen more, this is done to invalidate your feelings, to make you question your feelings rather than their actions. When they say, I'm sorry if you paid me more attention, because a narcissist is all about gaining that attention, they're passing the blame onto you. So you work harder to give them that attention that they believe they're entitled to, not realising that no, it's their behaviour that was in the wrong. If someone loves and cares about you, it's not going to be about the attention. They are not going to want to hurt your feelings in the first place. They are going to want to come and discuss situations with you as you would go and discuss situations with them. So when they say, I'm sorry you're not giving me enough attention, they are not being respectful of your feelings. They're not being loyal to you as a person. They are being loyal to themselves. When they say, I'm sorry you feel that way, again, this is to distract from their behaviour. So when they say nobody can make you feel that way, it's to put that doubt within yourself so that they can escape responsibility for their actions. Yes, we have to be responsible for our reactions, but other people should be held responsible for their actions. When they say, I'm sorry you think that of me, this again is to cause that doubt within yourself and to invalidate your own opinions, to invalidate your own judgment, to distract from whatever they've done to cause you some form of pain. Whatever a narcissist is doing, they are always playing a game with one hand to distract you from what they've actually done with the other hand, so that you're left in that confused state, so that you're forever trying to make it up to them for things that they shouldn't be doing, or things that they should be learning from to not do again. So it's the same as that, I'm sorry if you hadn't. Gaslighting, most of what a narcissist does is some form of gaslighting. But I'm sorry if you hadn't, again, is to gaslight you, to distort your reality, to distract you from what they've done, to focus on what you hadn't done, to just completely twist the scenario, twist the situation around onto you. So it's always, I'm sorry if you hadn't, or I'm sorry you think that I didn't, so that they can distort your reality and cause that cognitive dissonance within your mind, leading you to believe that you're the one going crazy and you're the one that's needing help, when it's actually the situation, the person you are around, that's driving you that way. And in some ways, it's actually, in some ways, they know, because around certain people, they can behave completely different. They are not like it. Most of them are not like it all the time. But also some people might not provoke that defense mechanism in them. So if they haven't done something to hurt someone, that someone isn't going to call them out on their behaviour, and then they're not going to have that defense mechanism where they need to escape accountability by passing responsibility onto somebody else. They're also very aware of how people might perceive them. So the majority of them can control themselves in certain environments and certain situations. So some of them do know exactly what they are doing. Some of them, it is more impulse behaviour, just that defence mechanism to protect themselves and get their needs met at that present moment in time. We often want an apology because we want to know that someone recognises how their behaviour has made us feel, that people can be responsible for their own behaviour like we're responsible for our behaviour, that people are remorseful for the things that they have done, that people will not go around and do this to other people because in one way we've helped teach them how they've hurt somebody, so they'll not go and hurt us, or they'll not go and hurt somebody else, because we don't want people walking around hurting people. But with a narcissist, because they lack the ability to reflect and take responsibility, they're not going to give us that sincere apology. They're not going to take responsibility for their behaviour. They are either going to project or pass the blame or gaslight their behaviour away. We can have years of being invalidated from other people and from narcissistic people. And the thing is, when it comes to their actions are their actions. We need to pass responsibility back to the rightful owner for their actions. We need to stop trying to help people recognise the error in their ways who are unwilling or unable to recognise the error in their ways. We have to turn inwards. We have to look at the meaning for how their actions have made us think or feel. We have to look at the meaning within ourselves, not within them, because they're not going to be held accountable. They are not willing to be responsible. So we can't look for that meaning within them. We've got to begin to look for that meaning within ourselves. We've got to start validating our own feelings, because our feelings are the things that are in one way driving our thought process, which then our thought process, we are then making decisions based on our emotions. And sometimes when we've got people gaslighting us, projecting us, putting us down, offering those insincere apologies, it can plant that self-doubt within our own emotions and within our own capabilities. And self-doubt is a tricky one, because sometimes it can stop us doing the things we should be doing, but self-doubt can also keep us trapped doing things that we shouldn't be doing. So we need to start listening to our feelings, because if we don't, our emotions will control our mind, when our mind should be in control of our emotions, our emotional intelligence, our emotional awareness. We need to step up our emotional awareness so we can learn to think about what our emotions are teaching us, not let our emotions distract us from our own behaviour as well as other people's behaviour. Emotions are a sign, emotions are a signal, our emotions are trying to tell us something. And we've got to recognise the emotion and then work out whether it's trying to tell us to change our procedure, change our perception, change our communication, change our approach, change our expectations, change our situation. Those feelings are telling us to change something. Those positive feelings are telling us the things that we do enjoy in life, and those negative feelings are telling us areas of our lives that we need to take action. On a whole, with most people, you can go to other people who will help you take the right action for you. Sometimes you can go to people, narcissistic people, who will invalidate all your feelings to make you take action that suits them. So sometimes in life we need to take a step back from the situation that's happening, and we need to recognise the feeling that's happening within us. Then we need to recognise what that feeling is telling us as a person, and then we need to take action on what that feeling has told us, rather than reacting from an emotional state of mind, which can often lead us to feeling worse. So when our feelings have been hurt, it's usually because an expectation hasn't been met. Now, if it's an expectation within ourselves, we can take a step back and we can reflect on how we didn't achieve something, and we can take a new approach to try and achieve that. We can reevaluate what we did the first time and see if we can change things to how we can achieve something we want to achieve for ourselves. Or we can change how we are perceiving the thing that we want to achieve. When someone else hurts our feelings because our expectations haven't been met, with a narcissist, it's extremely tricky because they have idolised, they've love bombed, and they've gaslighted us. They've raised our hopes, they've raised our expectations of them and of the life that we would potentially have with them. So when they don't meet these expectations that they've usually fed us within the idolization stage, it hurts our feelings. And then when they gaslight us with the false apologies of "I'm sorry, you," this leads us into that false hope that if we change our approach with that person, if we change our communication with that person, if we change our procedure with that person, our expectations with that person will be met. When we've got to take a step back from the situation, and it's difficult when you live it, is unfortunately not till after you're out of it that you start to see what's happening. And it's why in some ways people, well, in a lot of ways, people need teaching about this before they even enter it, need teaching about their own emotional intelligence and their own boundaries so that they don't get trapped into that situation, get taught about gaslighting so that they can recognise when someone is trying to gaslight them. So when they've done something that's hurt our feelings, that's hurt our expectations, we've got to then look inwards and decide whether we can go and communicate with them. But if they're not understanding that communication, then we have got to change the situation we are in. We don't go lowering our expectations because that's only going to hurt us in the long run. If that person fed us some expectations and then never meets those expectations and then blames us for not meeting those expectations, that person isn't for us. We shouldn't have expectations within other people that we make up within our own mind, which is fair enough. We shouldn't expect things of people just because we think they should. With a narcissist though, they will tell us to expect certain things, so we start to believe those things within ourselves, and then they'll not deliver them, which crushes our feelings, it crushes our hopes, our dreams, our desires. When a narcissist discards us or that disengagement from us, it hurts us, and there's so many questions because they don't give closure. I'll add the link to the discard video because they do it in so many manipulative ways. It's hard enough separating from any kind of relationship. With a narcissist, they just add that little twist to cause that extra confusion, to cause that intrigue, to cause that pain. And when we are dealing with these things, this is when we've got to recognise the feelings. We are allowed to have these feelings. We are allowed to grieve. We are allowed to feel anger. We are allowed to feel resentment when someone has sold us a dream and then delivered as a nightmare. We are allowed to feel these things, but it's the action we take within these feelings. Chasing them for answers is only going to make us feel worse in the long run. We have to give our answers to ourselves. We have to give that closure within ourselves. When they leave, we have got to change our perception of that person from the reality they've gaslighted us into believing through the idealisation and the love bombing and the fake future and the false promises. We've got to change that reality. We've got to change our expectations of that reality. Sometimes writing this down helps. And in place, we have got to put the perception in our mind of what truly happened within the dynamics of that relationship. And it can hit hard, so some people might need support, extra support there to help them through, because often it's not until out of the relationship that we start getting one light bulb moment after another and realising just how much we put up with in that situation that we shouldn't have put up with. But because it's gaslighted over a long period of time, we don't always see what's happening. And because they'll offer that false apology, that insincere apology, because sometimes they will deliver on those promises to meet a need of their own, we are the ones that are left doubting and questioning ourselves. So we have to have that radical acceptance of what we've put up with and what we've been through. The same as when we are hurt because someone has broken our trust or broken our confidence, and it hurts our feelings. So potentially, yes, people make mistakes, so we can go and communicate with that person, because that person might not realise what they've done. And if they are going to recognise how they hurt our feelings, if they're going to be responsible, even if they don't agree with us, if they're going to accept that, well, yes, it's not particularly how I think, but I can recognise that I've hurt your feelings, so I will not do that again, then we can have that communication with someone. We can have that two-way conversation, reach some mutual form of agreement or compromise. But when someone breaks our trust, and when they keep breaking our trust, when they keep breaking that confidence we have within them, we have got to lose that confidence we have within that person and recognise that person for who they are and what they are doing. We have to stop giving the same person more opportunities to dash at our expectations and to hurt us. And those expectations have often been fed to us by that very person that is dashing them at each and every turn. So when they keep breaking our confidence, when they keep breaking our trust, we have got to change our perception of that person. They are not some hurt person that's just made a mistake because they haven't learned from that mistake. They are some person who wants to exploit us to meet a need of their own without caring for how they hurt us in the process of getting their own needs met. It's a bit like when they say, I'm only joking, after insulting you, after humiliating you, after hurting your feelings. They were not joking. Whatever they did to humiliate you or hurt your feelings or upset you was to test your boundaries so that they can see how far they can push you as a person, and then distract you by saying, I was only joking, when they're not joking. A narcissist will say, I'm only joking, to distract you from their actions by getting you to question your reactions. And quite often, when a narcissist says, I'm only joking, what they've done to somebody, if someone did that to them, the narcissist would not find it funny. They would not take that as a joke. Some people can do things and, oh, I'm ever so sorry, I was only joking, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, I can recognise that you don't like that behaviour, I will not do it again. A narcissist doesn't see it that way. A narcissist will turn around and say, I was only joking, you're being too sensitive, I think you're overreacting there. What's your problem? You need a mental evaluation. They will twist it round. Yet if you were to do something similar to them that they've done that's hurt your feelings, they would sulk, they would silent treatment, they would up and leave, they would feel criticism. And if you said to them, I was only joking, they wouldn't be able to take that very joke that they are willing to dish out on other people. They are very hypocritical. When we become uncertain around a person, when we don't have that confidence within a person, when that person is creating those self-doubts within us about who we are, as well as about, well, when we go to question them about something, because we've got that doubt within our mind about their actions and their behaviour, and they twist it around to cause that self-doubt in us about how we think or feel to their actions or their behaviour. We need to learn that those doubts are telling us we do not have confidence within that person, and we need to walk away from that person and that situation, because when we don't have the confidence, when we don't have the trust within that person, they are only going to bring us down to raise themselves up. They are only going to invalidate who we are as a person. We have to learn to step away from the situation and stop giving them more opportunities to disappoint us. Sometimes in life we have to stop giving the benefit of doubt to those who cause us that doubt. And then when we go to them to discuss our thoughts, feelings or opinions with them, and they invalidate us to cause us self-doubt, we have to stop giving the benefit of the doubt to that person. We have to start giving ourselves the belief within our own thoughts, our own feelings and our own opinions, and recognising what they are teaching us to walk away from that person. And yes, I know within a narcissistic relationship it's very difficult, because when we enter it, when we are in it, we don't recognise what is happening to us. When we are raised by narcissistic parents, we just do not know. We accept it to be the norm when it is far from normal. And there is people out there that will treat you how you treat them, that will have that respect for you, that will not break your trust, that will be loyal to you and not loyal to their need of you. If anyone has any advice, or if anyone has any examples of the false apologies they've heard, because sometimes we can think we've never had an apology from them. Narcissists don't apologise. So sometimes we can think we've never had one, yet in some way you have at some point. And there is those that are that egotistical, they'll just not apologise whatsoever. So please put in the comments any examples of false apologies that you've heard from a narcissist, to help those recognise who are in the same situation reading through. I shall add the video in the description on gaslighting, because it is gaslighting that distorts our reality, that gets us in this situation that we have to climb our way back out of. And I shall also add the video for blame shifting and projection, because that's often why we don't recognise the false apologies, the insincere apologies, for what they are, insincere, and give them more chances to hurt who we are as a person. So today, start working on your emotional intelligence. We all have many different feelings throughout a day, so recognise feelings when they hit and work out what that feeling is trying to tell you as a person, and what action you can take within that feeling. Do you need to change your communication? Do you need to change your expectations? Do you need to change your perception? Do you need to change your approach? Do you need to change your situation? Do you need to change your beliefs? There's so many different things that you might need to change to help you overcome your own emotions, to be able to recognize those emotions, so that you don't bring those negative emotions such as guilt into your future, so you can deal with that emotion in the moment, and even dealing with those past emotions so that they no longer affect your present day. Thank you very much for listening. I hope everyone has an amazing day. Bye.